All right, everybody, welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Friday afternoon live right here in the Cybergroup Trading Room, streaming across social media, Facebook, YouTube Live. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everybody can hear me loud and clear. Closing out the week, finally, TGIF. Great to see everybody here. Leo, Bonnie, Michael, Pat, the whole team joining us here live in the trading room. Great to see all of us joining, like I said, streaming across YouTube, Facebook. So let's hop into it. I mean, I got to say, this is as Friday as a Friday will get, in the sense that it's been pretty slow across the market. It looks like for right now, the Dow is slightly trying to squeeze up, but I'll zoom out. It's been very slow across the whole afternoon thus far. A little bit of a squeeze up early in the morning, but we'll get into that in a moment. I mean, point being is that just because the market's flat doesn't mean that the entire market is flat. Obviously, this missed stock has taken off heading into the afternoon. So, needless to be said, this will be on our list. But let's go through this, guys, and briefly, we'll actually jump right back to yesterday. So yesterday, news came out early in the morning regarding MIST, M-I-S-T. I think it was in relation to one of their drugs, perhaps guidance and FDA approval on it. We ended up seeing a huge move on it yesterday. It was freaking crazy. We ended up seeing it make like 3 or 4 separate attempts at breaking above resistance at like $9, if I'm not mistaken. $9.50 it was. Yeah, this thing has had such a tough time trying to break higher going into the day and going into the afternoon. So really quick, we ended up seeing from yesterday's afternoon meeting, at least, we put this on our list, rightfully so at the time, moved all the way up towards 10. It reopened up off a halt, and this yellow line represents the big transaction on time and sales. When this ended up reopening up at the time, I kept the line up on my screen the rest of the day and into today. You could see what happened, though, at least after the open. After the open. And more news came out on this trade early in the pre-market today. Nothing like company product wise, but Jefferies upgraded them, price target to $15. So, with more news out, so to say, we're expecting a big move. So we ended up seeing this pull back as soon as the market opened up. I mean, that's not much of a surprise for a stock that ended up not only being up like 100+% yesterday, and this thing ended up taking, off right as the market opened up. Well, it's no surprise we ended up seeing the profit taking the pullback this morning. So, this ended up diving off all the way down. You could see to an eventual low of the day. I mean, not 750 on the nose, but I mean, pretty much right over that price. Ended up moving back up. But I'll tell you, I mean, we took our eyes off this trade going into the mid-morning here. Volume died off. It failed to break out over 9 pretty cleanly here. So, we were focused on other trades. I mean, we ended up seeing this begin to squeeze up. I got the ping on Benzinga Pro that this was breaking a new high of the day at the time. And, at the time, we ended up catching this pretty early on. It was actually before it ended up breaking or testing this range of resistance, 936, 950. At the time, I was saying to you guys here, look for a pop and drop. It's not going to be a surprise to see this make a pop and drop from that 936, 950 resistance. It did just that. But then, of course, after this thing took off. So I don't think there's any other news out aside from what I just mentioned to you guys here, that drug from yesterday that came out, and then the upgrade from Jefferies this morning. But yeah, I mean, looks like this is still squeezing up higher into the afternoon. So, of course, we're going to put this back on our list. Well, I have it up. Let me see if I have my book map open right now. I can't show it. I'm running it through a different computer. It would mess up the stream. Just broke under 11, which is a pretty big level. There was a lot of volume on the ask there off the pop, some volume on the bid once it ended up slicing under it. So I'd say this thing needs to get back over 11 really quick in order for this to make a quicker higher high. Otherwise, it wouldn't surprise me if this makes a dump off before it potentially runs back up. Jerry just got out. He got out pretty much right off the 11 level. He was in from 10. Excellent job, Jerry. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me before we see this potentially pop higher. Whoop. What's that song again? I hate to say I told you so. Yeah, that's the last you'll hear from me singing. But yeah, I mean, this thing just dived off, right? So, we're going to wait to see this build up some support. 50-cent levels, whole numbers. It wouldn't even surprise me if this slices under 10 first and then back over 10 for it to begin its next potential run up. So, just given the run up from this afternoon, the volatility altogether, we're going to keep this on our list still. All right, so MIST was one of a couple that we ended up doing well on today, but this was more of a late bloomer. We ended up seeing the ABUS make one of our sharper moves across the day, another one that continued from yesterday. So ABUS, and you look at it now, it totally dumped back down. You'd figure it was a total, dump off here. Not a good trade, but I'll get to that in a second. ABUS from yesterday, we ended up seeing this in the afternoon make a pop pretty much right as we were doing the afternoon meeting. So, I feel like yesterday during this exact time, there was like a smorgasbord of stocks that were getting halted, making these pops and drops, you name it. So ABUS being one of them, we put this on our list for a potential squeeze up higher, which obviously that happened. But more importantly, and relating to today, the stock is shortable. Remember, guys, if you were in this very meeting yesterday, I was saying to you, should the stock crap out the other way? I'd say it would be an interesting short. I think it was at the time, at the time I finished the meeting, I think I went on the broadcast and saying, man, I missed the opportunity from like 650-ish or so. It was already dropping off so much. Well, obviously bounced, pushed up into the close, and this morning gapped up higher. So, hey, into the open, you saw it take off. But for a stock that makes this type of run up, whether it be just, overnight from yesterday included as well, you have to expect profit taking. So once this ended up failing to really break higher off of 9 and then eventually really breaking under support 850, 840-ish, this was one of the better trades of the day. It was a fantastic short from essentially 850 where we were calling it out. I wish I could say I held on all the way through. I was in and out on this trade. I ended up taking a loss, though, because we ended up hoping for support to be off of 6. Not directly off of 6, but looking for a drop and then pop back over the level. So, with the short and the win that we had on this trade on the way down, me personally at least, I ended up taking a small loss. I jumped in off the 11 level here, averaged down once it ended up beginning to break lower. And then from there, I just quickly exited. I knew it wasn't going my way. So, ended up continuing to drop. I didn't jump back in on the short side, so and I never picked up this profit here. But, it ended up doing very nice for us on the way down. For right now, I feel like the stock is so flat. And just with the amount of volume traded on this stock today, it's probably just exhausted. Wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't really do much heading into the final hour of the day. Maybe I'll come back to it. It is shortable. Still made a big move from top to bottom, well, bottom to top, then back down to bottom across the last 2 days. So, is it possible for this to even break lower? It is, but for right now, I'd rather go through the percent gainers and losers list. Yeah, 550 support for right now, about 50,000 shares currently I'm seeing on the bid. All right, let's see. ENT. We did really well on this trade, guys. ENT in the pre-market. Not to say that we did well on this trade after the open. So, pretty much shortly out of the gate, this thing ended up diving off. Like I said, we did well on this trade off the pre-market pop. I forgot the news at the time. Not going to look it up at this point because we're not going to trade this heading into the close. But yeah, ENT spiked up at the open, and then immediately after we saw the profit taking, it held support around 6, but you can't keep expecting it to make new runs, especially after the squeeze we had from pre-market here. See a stock essentially go from yesterday's close 1 or 2 all the way up towards the open here this morning around 645, and obviously spiked much higher than that in the pre-market early on. So if it's not going to break higher, the volume dies off, this thing is only going to drop lower. So I know it's easy for me to say now at this point, but no surprise seeing this where it is right now. All right, NTZ, I had a call out from one of our students going into the early afternoon. Right at the time, it was worth the call, but the volume died off shortly afterwards. It was trying to creep back over to, not even this squeeze up here. We were seeing this trying to get back over to. Obviously never really made it, so I'm going to pass. HBB, kind of low volume. I'm going to skip over this. ASNA, a cheapie, below $1. Nice squeeze earlier this morning. Got halted on the way up. On the reopen, tanked. Ecom, interesting. ECOM, I don't know. I didn't see this one from earlier today. I guess for right now, I'll pass. Made a big move. Not really itching to try and jump in on this one just yet. Kind of like I'd said before, though, guys, we did well on a few, and this E-Man looks pretty good. So right away, I'll at least put this E-Man stock on our list going into the close. But, I was saying before, markets were pretty slow earlier. It's as a Friday will get here inside the Cyber Group room. So, we were sitting on our hands, for a good portion of the afternoon, at least aside from mist. And maybe this E-Man trade will look to see break higher into the close. Big 251,000 share order on the ask at the high of the day, 119. I wouldn't be surprised if there's also an order at 120 through a different ECN aside from the NASDAQ. We'll check. But yeah, as of right now, at least 119s are major resistance. All right, we'll kind of just skim through the rest here, guys. Any other familiar names we'll look to focus on quickly here. So GNCA definitely is a familiar name. We traded the stock pretty much throughout this entire week, on and off, not really, like a huge focus, across the whole day, but on and off, we've been calling it out. And of course, today we ended up seeing this make a pop going into the mid morning. Came across our scanners, Benzinga Pro, etc. Shortly prior to 11 o'clock off the breakout, ended up making a new pop. You could see heading into the afternoon, stalling underneath 5, hit a high of 493 and back down. So it's more of an afternoon run. I like the volume that the stock has been trading over the last 30, 40 minutes at least. So although it's been dying off a bit since 2 o'clock, I'll still put this on our list. Probably make the middle, probably make the bottom, kind of around that range. But for right now, I'll make the cut. And check this one out. Fausto was talking about this before. I mean, at least inside the trading room, he was commenting, oh, I guess everybody loves beer still, right? So we ended up seeing, what is this, Bush? No, not Bush. Boston beer. Sam Adams, duh, right? SAM. So Sam, we ended up seeing them make a huge pop. I mean, freaking $800 stock, right? So yeah, I'm gonna pass on this for right now. Sogo kind of near the highs. It's holding strong, but the volume really died off here on this one. We'll pass. Ooh, look at this. Capper. Double top at the highs right now. Good timing. I always feel like heading into this like 2:30 meeting, there's always like, one or two that I just stumble upon perfect timing right at the highs or lows. And this capper, no brainer. We'll put this on our list going into the afternoon. Looks like it ended up making a beautiful rounded bottom from around 680, squeezing up. Wouldn't surprise me if around 730, which obviously 729 is the high of the day. But if you're talking about 50-cent move from 680 up towards 50 cents north of that, doesn't surprise me. 730 is kind of holding here as a top. 750 would be the next big volume-based resistance on the ass to work with, likely. All right, cool. And also, I just got from Norman here. E-Man just popped. EMAN popped through that huge iceberg. Look at that. All right, there we go, Norman. Great call. Would that pop like the second I turned away from it? Yeah, look at these prints on the tape. Holy smokes. You're seeing a 77,000, 23, 29, or 30,000 share order getting filled in one block. Crazy. All right. Well, let's make sure that this isn't a pump and dump or a pop and drop, a false breakout, so to say. So, make sure this could hold over 119 or 118, a couple cents underneath that, if anything. All right. So it's a really good start, at least. We'll check back in on this one by the end of it all. All right, bingo, BNGO. I've been in this trade pretty much all day. And really, as soon as the market opened up to right now, I have a stop set. So if this tanks, I'll be pretty, disappointed. Just the fact that I didn't retain profit. But I'm currently in from like 88 cents. That's my average entry right now. So when it was kind of holding a higher low, kind of volume died off, I was a little worried, but it held right over my entry point. So I stayed safe. A couple of us are watching this for a potential squeeze up higher into the afternoon. I'm not going to put this on our list just yet, though, guys. I'm not super confident that this will look to make a huge pop going into the afternoon. I'm not going to swing this into Monday. I have a couple of students that actually are swing trading this from like 75, 80 cents. So they're doing pretty good. So, if you're up on the trade a little bit more than I am, it gives you some more cushion to swing trade into Monday. I'm definitely not going to do that. But yeah, for right now, BNGO will keep off our list here. All right. Let's see. CHFS. Nah, not just yet. AMD. All right. Keeps going. The AMD train, unfortunately, keeps going. I say unfortunately for, really a very petty reason. So for all of us here in the trading room, at least, and if you're streaming across social media, perhaps to get to know myself a bit better, I've been with Fausto for about 6 years. I came in here with zero stock market experience. So, we have traders that are with us that join us here in the trading room that have like 25, 30 years. The number of years doesn't matter as much, right? Like 6 still is a lot now at this point. But when I first started, I had no experience with swing trading. I'm a one-trick pony. So I was looking into AMD back in 2016. as a swing trade, and I was with a 2017, 18. It was after this. It was not when it was at $4. Oh my goodness, that would be crazy. I was looking at AMD when it was around $11 at the time. It was like popping. It was already up like 600% across the year. So the inexperience that I had at the time as a swing trader, I had to have thought at some point this would look to pull back. This was popping up very nicely. I was up a lot. I was actually swing trading way more than I would recommend for any one of us inside the trading room to. I was swing trading a day trade position. Long story short, AMD came out with inline earnings one day. I ended up getting out because AMD dropped like 15% that day. I mean, very fortunately, I was able to make profit on my swing. It was next to nothing compared to how much I was up. Well, inexperienced swing trader Josh never got back in. I day trade AMD. I didn't today, but I don't mind day trading AMD, but damn, I should have just held on to my shares from $11 the whole time, right? And that was my plan. I thought a long while back for all of the bullish articles, and I was believing it. I was sipping the Kool-Aid, right? So, I'm sure there were people that were very bearish on AMD, but I was reading these articles. AMD would be like a $60, $70, $80 stock in a few years, or 5-10 years down the line. Artificial intelligence and deep learning. So, I was confident, but I was inexperienced. That's why I say, unfortunately. That's my little story of the day for you guys. Getting to AMD on the day trade side, though. Yeah, obviously breaking all-time highs. So, yeah, we're going to keep this on our list, guys. AMD, high of the day right now is 69.66. Probably see this, unless if there's another order on the ask right above it. If this could break over 69.50 one more time, I think we'll get our higher high. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Missed already on our list. That rhymed. PTE, little level 1 squeeze up. This was on our list in pre-market. Kind of a dud, unfortunately. ALD. Ooh, you know what? I'll jump back to ALDX. NOVN I wanted to get to. This one ended up making a huge squeeze going into the late morning, early afternoon for us. I thought Norman had called this out, a couple of us as well afterwards. But yeah, really nice call. Unfortunately, though, like a lot of these small caps and squeezes, the volume dies off rather fast, and so does the stock. ALDX I want to jump to here quick. I went to it and turned away from it. Now here I'm back at it. The only reason I'm back at it is because this stock is shortable. So I just wanted to see where it was, what the volume's looking like. Not going to put this on our list. Saba, maybe. Familiar name. We traded Saba on the way up, going back into the end of 2019. On the way down off a huge gap down, or rather, when it gapped down, we traded this on the way back up, a dead cat bounce of sorts. Perhaps it's trying to make its next, squeeze up higher. If not today, perhaps next week. But yeah, for right now, I mean, again, it's kind of a summer Friday. Just not really seeing too much on this as of right now. All right, we'll hop over to the losers list, guys. We'll see if there's anything on that side of the field. If not better, the C test. Skip right over it at this point. What is this? EHTH. Fausto called this out earlier on the short side, dropped off, as you could see, after the market opened up. Obviously, a little pricey, not one that I would normally look to trade. For the afternoon, I'm going to keep this off our list. If this was trending down near the lows and ready for a new break, I'd be more likely to put this on our list. Or if this was just holding near the lows and then squeezed up, then I'd put it on our list for that reason. Already dropped off, already made a nice run back up, and it's getting back up there, but I wouldn't necessarily expect this to just miraculously squeeze back up higher perfectly into the afternoon from here. So, yeah, we'll pass. VNE, right near the lows. The stock is shortable. Zoom in. I mean, it's from a zoomed out perspective, it looks like it's going nowhere, but steadily dropping off since 2 o'clock. Got a 12-cent move. Let's see if there's anything looking better. I had to think about that for a sec. Intel, obviously, with the bad news that came out on Intel this morning, we ended up seeing them dive off, and with that, AMD squeezed up. So aside from the whole all-time highs and the market moving up earlier this morning, that news ended up affecting both AMD and Intel. So big drop off shortly after the open on this one. Made a full recovery, but obviously flattened out, exhausted. At this point right now, we're going to pass. All right, it takes me to ABUS, and this was on our side list. I said that this stock just trading so much volume, like it wouldn't surprise me if this stock is exhausted, but obviously just during this time, it ended up breaking down, broke below 550. It has been holding underneath it, but hasn't broken too much lower from here. So, you know what? I don't mind putting this on our main list at this point. With ABUS in total, we have now 2, 4, 6. The shoe fits, not too little, not too many, just right. All right, guys, I think that just about does it. If there's anything else that I completely missed out on, let me know. DVAX is doing nothing. IBIO, familiar name, doing nothing. MRSN, shortable, kind of a spotty chart, pass. All right, from Leda, BTU, and my guess is we're going to put this on our list, Leda, just because not only are you calling this out, I'm getting the ping on Benzinga Pro right now. Actually, from 10 minutes ago, it broke a high, and it's been running since. Yeah, BTU, definitely. I'll put this on our list for right now. Just exactly where we would want to see it, right, going into the end of the day, end of the week. So, you know, if there is a runner, perhaps this could be it. Obviously, already moved up a little bit, but you know, maybe we'll pull back, build a higher low, move back up, break higher into the close. All right. Michael picking up 21 cents on his bread and butter stock, or one of them at least. Penn National Gaming, right? We ended up seeing Penn move up early in the morning, dived off with the market a little bit. Nice recovery, but Michael ended up shorting this, ended up getting in from 34.65. Pretty much right off the high of the day there. Nice entry, Michael. All right, let me check in on YouTube and Facebook. Let's see what you guys got here. I see a lot of stocks already that we kind of commented on. So the Capper, the E-Man, you know, all of that's on our list. Getting from my friend Doug on YouTube, CMCSA. Not a bad call, Doug. Yeah, I mean, it's not up or down a whole lot percent-wise. Ended up making a big pop shortly after the open, so perhaps it was up more than just, you know, this, but oh, and it has a ways to go to get to high of the day, but it is trending up really nicely. You know, I'm not going to put this on the main list, but this would be like a tradable stock, like, you know, a lot of these others, like, you know, hey, Micron, MU, tradable stock. CMCSA is making a much steadier trend than this, of course, but for right now, I mean, for right now, I'll just keep this off our list. There's going to be a lot of those types of stocks that, you know, like a JD perhaps. JD ran earlier from 130, from 60.40 to 61.40. Little pricey, but, you know, hey, just as, you know, tradable to a degree. Mist broke 10, Jeff saying. All right. So I said we'd check back in on Mist. And then I thought there was maybe, the E-Man trade I said we'd at least check back in on. All right. Well, did break 10. Looks like a Head and Shoulders, perfectly built Head and Shoulders off of like 1050 or 1075-ish. 1080. That's as clean gets. All right. What else do we have? AMD to 70. I have a question on that from one of our YouTube viewers here. Yeah, I mean, that's an easier projection at this point, I'd say. If it can break over 69.50 pretty cleanly, at least. It looks like it popped it, but then fell back under it rather fast. With all-time highs, there's no historical ceiling to work with. So that's where I say 70. I mean, if AMD continues to trend, build higher lows, popping here sooner than later, yeah, I could see 70. I could see like 75 by the next month, by the next week or two. Of course, like factors like a bullish market factor in, right? If, you know, the market tanks, if any news comes out, Corona-related, markets dive off, we're not going to see 75. But, you know, based on the volatility, the all-time highs, it's not out of sight. All right, so E-Man, we'll check in on this. So E-Man ended up making the pop, the drop, and then you could see it hasn't broken higher yet. It's like half glass full, half glass empty. It's making higher lows, but making lower highs. So be really careful on this trade, guys. If this slams back under 119, 118, I think it's going to be a dump off. I don't think it's going to be worth it. All right, guys. I think that just about does it. I think we're pretty good otherwise. So in total, I think we have 7 now on our list. All right, guys. So aside from that, for all of you guys streaming across social media, I put the phone number down below on the banner this time. So make sure that you guys call our office. From there, one of our education advisors will pick up, provide more detail. Aside from that, for all of us here live in the trading room, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times before. It's a summer Friday. The market makers are out enjoying the warm weather. They've been quarantined for long enough. So I'm not expecting a whole lot out there. I'd start and stick with this list. But hey, if you're not seeing the ball too straight going into the afternoon, if you already made your day's pay, no need to risk any more money, guys. I would close up shop, start off the weekend early. All right, but otherwise, hopefully we do catch a runner going into the end of the week. All right, guys, I'll talk to you guys coming up pretty shortly. Take care.